Moira, a violinist at Lindbergh Academy, performs Tartini's Devil's Trill in a practice chamber. Inside, we see etchings of enigmatic symbols on the wall. Her music is interrupted by a grandfather clock that rings. Suddenly, the sky turns yellow, hypnotizing her and making her climb through the balcony. She jumps off, committing the unthinkable. Next, we see Juliet and Vivian, fraternal twin sisters, growing up with a shared love for classical piano. Juliet is annoyed by her inability to concentrate while practicing. Vivian interrupts her, searching for her music sheet but fails to locate it.
Have you seen my score for the Sing Songs? It's not my folder.
Why would I know where your music is?
I don't know. Sorry for daring to ask a question.
Juliet walks downstairs, unable to focus. Their parents are hosting a modest gathering at home. One of the guests congratulates Juliet on her acceptance to Juilliard, but it turns out he's referring to Vivian, who was actually admitted. Their parents then drive them to a musical boarding school. Vivian goes off to meet her lover Max. Despite not being accepted to Juilliard, Juliet's father encourages her, saying that life is about more than just being the center of attention. At an assembly held in honor of the deceased Moira, Principal Gordon announces that the music showcase will continue in her memory.
Following much discussion, we have decided to rerun the senior concerto competition in her memory.
To Vivian's delight, tryouts for the concerto will be held since Moira, the soloist, is no longer with them. The sisters spend time with Max and their other friend Alexis, who spreads rumors about Mad Moira. He describes the strange symbols she carved into the walls before falling from the third story and how eccentric she was. He adds that Moira was ambidextrous. Juliet believes Moira was an exceptional student and finds it odd that the competition continues despite her death. While grabbing something from their cubby, Juliet and Vivian talk. Vivian confronts Juliet about her composition, suggesting she change her piece if she wants. Juliet replies that Roger, her assigned teacher, won't allow last-minute changes. Vivian encourages her to follow her passion regardless. As they talk, Juliet notices Vivian declining a call from an unknown number. After Vivian leaves, Juliet finds Moira's notebook on the floor and decides to keep it. During her session with Roger, Juliet asks to switch her piece from Mozart to Saint-Saëns' Piano Concerto No. 2, the same piece Vivian is performing. Roger advises her to stick with Mozart and doesn't support her decision. Leaving the room, Juliet sees Vivian being taught by Dr. Kask, the best teacher at their school. Watching enviously, Juliet quickly writes out her own version of the piece and submits it to Dr. Kask. She then practices Saint-Saëns late into the night. As she leaves the practice room, Juliet hears Devil's Trill being played. Intrigued, she follows the sound, but it stops when she enters the same room where Moira died. Behind a curtain, she finds a sun symbol carved into the wall, the same one on Moira's notebook. Inside the notebook is a poem about a Faustian pact. She plays the piece written in the notebook, and to her amazement, Dr. Kask identifies it as Tartini's Devil's Trill before leaving. Juliet continues reading and finds drawings showing steps toward achieving her goal, but the final page is torn off. The next day, Vivian knocks on Juliet's door, telling her they're late for the audition. When Juliet gets her period, Vivian teases her but quickly comforts her when she notices Juliet is distressed. Juliet starts having a panic attack while waiting in the auditorium. She runs to the bathroom to take her anxiety medication. Before taking it, she sees Moira's journal and impulsively swallows 3 pills at once. She returns and watches the end of Vivian's performance, which amazes the crowd. When it's her turn, Juliet shocks everyone by performing Saint-Saëns, the same piece as Vivian's. As she plays, Juliet enters a dreamlike state, imagining herself receiving a standing ovation. Her dream self smirks at her. She wakes up to Principal Gordon's voice. He gives her a kind remark, revealing she passed out after her performance. Back in class, Juliet accidentally opens Moira's notebook instead of her own, and notices an illustration of a woman holding 3 circles, representing the pills. The circles briefly fill with color before returning to normal. Wilkins checks in on her, noting her progress and encouraging her to keep going. Juliet tries to apologize to Vivian for performing the same piece. Vivian, hurt, accuses her of being jealous and embarrassing her.
I already knew you were jealous. Thanks to your little stunt, everybody else does too.
Juliet later sees the posted results and is dismayed to find that Vivian has been chosen as the showcase soloist. Her jealousy deepens. When Juliet switches pieces again during practice, Roger confronts her. saying he advised her in her best interest. He tells her she's too ambitious and should consider becoming a music teacher instead. Juliet retorts that she's sacrificed everything to play piano and won't settle for less. When she learns that Roger voted for Vivian during auditions, they get into a heated argument.
I have given my entire life to music, and you think I did it so I could sit at some school hall keyboard eating some 7th grade part-timer shit?
The way you're going, you'll be the world's first virtuoso burger flipper.
Better that than a deformed drunk who pretends he chose teaching when he hasn't performed in public in 20 years.
She insults his failed career, prompting Roger to slap her. He is suspended for misconduct, though it's unlikely he'll be fired. Principal Gordon assigns her a temporary tutor, but Juliet requests Dr. Kask. Later, Juliet finds a stack of used tampons in her cubby and confronts Vivian, accusing her of planting them. Vivian dismisses her, saying they're now even. During practice, Dr. Kask tells Juliet she almost matches Vivian, but lacks her passion. He says Juliet plays like the devil is at the door, whereas Moira played like the devil was in the room. Back in her dorm, Juliet examines Moira's notebook. The text is reversed. Holding it to the mirror, she realizes the writings were meant to be read backward, recalling Alexis's claim that Moira was ambidextrous. She deciphers the path: invocation, certainty, victory, culmination, purification, and a torn page marking the 6th. She's awakened at night by her phone and notices a yellow light. Investigating, she sees a ghostly, grinning Moira. But it's just a nightmare. Max invites her to a college party. He offers her drugs, and though hesitant, she joins him. Feeling overwhelmed, she steps away and overhears Vivian on the phone, suggesting she's cheating on Max. Vivian ends the call and leaves, unaware Juliet heard everything. Max, searching for Vivian, finds Juliet. They talk and bond. Juliet shares her dream of being a pianist, and how Moira's notebook gives her a strange sense of guidance. She flirts and says she wants to kiss him. Unfortunately, Vivian overhears.
Jules, save the martyr act. I've seen the way you look at him. And you fucking leading her on like you don't see her sweating every time you walk in the room.
We were just talking.
What planet do you think I'm on? I saw you.
The sisters fight, and Juliet storms off, only to realize she's near a cliff. Vivian appears and falls off. Juliet stops Max from falling and calls for help. Juliet wakes up at her desk, unsure how she got there, and is stunned by sketches she doesn't remember drawing. Moira's notebook is on the victory page, and the drawing resembles Vivian after the fall. She flips back to the certainty page and sees a devilish hand resembling Roger's. At school, Wilkins calls her to the principal's office, where she sees Vivian, arm in a cast. Gordon says Vivian has been suspended for violating curfew. Since her arm is broken, Juliet is given the concerto solo. That evening, Juliet finds Vivian crying. Vivian accuses her of letting her fall, and their bond seems irrevocably broken. Later, Juliet calls Max and talks about Moira. She tells him the notebook's images are becoming real and guiding her. She also reveals that Moira's father set their house on fire with himself inside, and her mother went into a coma after a ski accident. Max suggests Moira was psychotic, using art therapy to cope. He believes her suicide was due to her trauma and isolation. Juliet then tells Max about Vivian's infidelity. Max confronts Vivian in public, and they argue as Juliet watches from her window, smiling faintly. While preparing for the concerto, Juliet's bench breaks, and she hits her head on the piano. Dr. Kask gives her an ice pack and his number, telling her to call if she needs help. Rather, Juliet invites Max to their birthday celebration. Later, as she exits her practice room, she is once again lured to the chamber where Moira died. Out of the blue, Max appears and tells her that he and Vivian are no longer together. After they make love, Max quietly leaves the room, immediately regretting what just happened. That evening, the twins' parents argue with Dr. Kask during their birthday dinner, dismissing their daughter's musical ambitions as meaningless. They claim that no one will be listening to classical music in the future. Dr. Kask, however, locks eyes with Vivian and calmly states that true music will endure, preserved by those who truly deserve it. Infuriated, Vivian throws the chocolate cake at him and splashes her drink in his face before storming out. Juliet's mother realizes her husband is drunk, so Dr. Kask offers to drive Juliet back to campus. In an attempt to boost her confidence for the upcoming concerto, Dr. Cask brings Juliet to his home and begins to encourage her. However, Juliet misinterprets his intentions and, believing he's romantically interested in her, tries to kiss him. Dr. Cask immediately rejects her, concerned for his job. Juliet confronts him, accusing him of having a secret affair with Vivian, especially after recognizing his phone number, which he had given to her earlier. She realizes he has been the one repeatedly calling her sister. Juliet is stunned to learn that Dr. Cask is actually in love with Vivian. A heated argument erupts between them. Juliet lashes out, claiming that unlike him and Vivian, she will succeed. She calls him a failure, just like Roger. Dr. Cask fires back, saying that she has already missed her chance, reminding her that the most successful musicians master their craft at a young age. In a fit of rage, Juliet hurls his cherished trophy into the fireplace. As Dr. Cask frantically tries to put out the flames, he shouts at her to leave. Back home, Juliet discovers that she has already completed the first 5 steps in Moira's notebook. But the 6th step is still missing. She sits down and reaches for a pen, desperate to know what it is. Unconsciously, her hand begins to move, sketching the 6th and final step. The drawing reveals a woman stepping off a cliff, accompanied by a single word: sacrifice. Terrified, Juliet screams and hurriedly burns the notebook in her sink. On the day of the music showcase, she changes backstage. Wilkins informs her that Dr. Cask has called in sick. Vivian visits Juliet and confronts her about her deep resentment. She asks if Juliet's hatred comes from the fact that Vivian has always been better. Juliet responds coldly, saying she will outshine Vivian tonight, especially now that her sister's hand is broken. After all, Juilliard scouts will be watching. Vivian retorts that Juliet won't get in. Juilliard doesn't send out scouts. She tells Juliet that both of them are failures, but at least her broken arm is an excuse. Juliet, on the other hand, is simply average. As Juliet prepares to perform, she suddenly has a panic attack and flees the stage in tears. Then, she sees a brilliant yellow light calling out to her. She climbs to the roof and edges toward the ledge, ready to leap. Suddenly, she is back at the music showcase, finishing her performance to roaring applause, just like in her dream. But in reality, Juliet had jumped to her death. Her body was never found. That final, fatal leap was her last step to victory. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you on the next video.